came down from his car. His face twisted with rage. He pointed his pistol at him. He shot him, right in the chest. This is the story of a man who took another man's life over duck sauce, that little orange packet that comes with your Chinese takeout. Sticky, sweet, something most people never even think twice about. But to him, it meant everything. Let's call him Joe. Joe was 49 years old when this story begins, living in a small apartment in Queens, New York City. He spent most of his nights eating takeout, scrolling through the news, and yelling at people online. He had this strange obsession with Chinese food, especially duck sauce. He kept packets of it everywhere, on his counter, in his drawers, even in the glove box of his car. It was like some kind of comfort thing. But nobody knew just how deep that obsession ran. Then came one night in 2021. It was cold, rainy, the kind of New York night where steam rises from the streets. Joe called his favorite spot, a small family-run restaurant called The Great Wall. He placed his usual order, but before hanging up, he added one specific request. Make sure I get extra duck sauce. Don't forget. The workers said, "Of course, sir." They packed his food, threw in a few packets, sealed the bag. To them, it was just another order. But to Joe, it was personal. When he received the package, opened it, he froze. There are duck sauce packets, but not enough. Not for him. And something inside his head snapped. He slammed the table, grabbed his car keys, and stormed out. He burst through the restaurant door, red-faced and shaking. "I asked for extra duck sauce." The workers looked at each other, confused. They apologized, tried to calm him down, even handed him more packets. But Joe wasn't listening. He accused them of disrespecting him, of being cheap, of purposely ignoring his order. He started shouting racist slurs, banging on the counter. Customers inside froze. Then he demanded a refund. But because of pandemic restrictions, they couldn't take food back, and that drove him over the edge. He called the police right there in the restaurant, yelling about being cheated out of sauce. When the cops arrived, they tried to reason with him. They told him it wasn't a crime. Joe glared at them, muttered something about revenge, and stormed out. That should have been the end. But it wasn't. It was only the beginning. Over the next few weeks, Joe spiraled. He couldn't stop thinking about the restaurant. He felt humiliated, convinced the workers had laughed at him after he left. So he started calling them, over and over. Sometimes threatening them, other times calling 911 to report fake problems. They're selling expired food. They're breaking COVID rules. They're dangerous. All lies. Just to get them in trouble. One of the workers, Lee, had been there for 20 years, known in the neighborhood, a gentleman, always smiling when he delivered food. Everyone loved him, but lately, he'd been on edge. He told his co-workers, "That man's gonna come back one day. I can feel it." And he was right. One night, Lee stepped outside the restaurant and froze. There, across the street, was Joe, wearing a black mask, crouched next to a co-worker's car, scratching it with a knife. Lee shouted, "Hey, what are you doing?" Joe turned slowly, eyes wild, and said coldly, "I have a gun. Back off. This is your last warning." Then he walked to his car and drives off. Lee and the others managed to snap photos, his face, his car, his license plate, and reported it. But somehow, nothing happened. Police said they were looking into it. A few weeks passed. The city looked peaceful. But for the workers at the Great Wall, peace was the last thing they felt. One night, while a young employee was outside shoveling snow, a dark shadow appeared at the end of the block. Joe. He walked up slowly, holding something metallic. A gun. He pointed it right at the worker's chest. "Remember me?" he said. "I'll come for your family next." The worker dropped his shovel and ran inside, shaking. Joe slashed a car's tires, then disappeared into the night before police could arrive. From that day on, the restaurant kept the doors locked at night. They watched the windows. Every sound outside made them jump, but Joe wasn't done. He was planning something darker. By early 2022, he was fully obsessed. He began stalking the restaurant, circling the block in his car over and over every night. Sometimes sitting across the street, just watching. The workers noticed. "He's back," Lee whispered one night, looking through the window. Then came April. It was a quiet evening. The dinner rush had slowed, and Lee was preparing for one last delivery. He tied his food bag to the scooter, put on his gloves, and headed out. Outside, the streets were cold, empty, but not empty enough. Joe was there, in his car, watching. He followed Lee as he rode off to deliver the food. For 20 minutes, he trailed him through the dark streets of Queens, headlights dimmed, engine low. Lee dropped off the food, turned back and stopped at a red light. A few cars around, street lights flickering. He didn't notice the car behind him pull up closer and closer. Joe turned off his engine, stepped out, and walked toward him, gun in hand, points the gun at Lee, and pulled the trigger. One shot, point blank, but Lee managed to ride off on his scooter, with every breath heavier. After a few meters, his face dim, his muscle weakens, he falls off the scooter and unalives. When the news broke, the community was in shock. People couldn't believe it. A murder. Over duck sauce? Police swarmed the area. They spoke to the restaurant workers, who all said the same thing. "It's the duck sauce guy. It has to be him." With that, detectives got a warrant and raided Joe's apartment. When they entered, the smell hit first. Sour, rotten, stale, trash piled to the ceiling, newspapers from years ago, broken furniture. It was like stepping into a hoarder's tomb. Even the dust looked confused about where to settle. But the fridge told the real story. Inside, packed tight from top to bottom, were hundreds of condiment packets, soy sauce, ketchup, mustard, and an entire drawer filled with duck sauce. He'd been collecting them, stockpiling, obsessing. Police gathered evidence, and soon enough they had what they needed. Joe was arrested and charged with Lee's murder, along with multiple counts of harassment, stalking, and weapon possession. But the story doesn't end there. Joe got out on bail, and while waiting for trial, he gets paranoid. He believed the city, the police, the entire world was against him. He looked down, eyes hollow. "Maybe it would have been better if they never let me out at all," he said, sad, broken. He gets more paranoid, takes his pistol, pointed at himself. Bang! He unalives himself. Police found his body inside his apartment, gone by his own hand. All that over uncontrollable addiction. And it ends in tragedy. Here are my 3 questions. 1. Do you think Joe's actions came from pure hatred or from a mental breakdown that no one noticed in time? 2. Could this tragedy have been prevented if the police took the restaurant's warning seriously the first time? 3. Have you ever felt addicted to something you knew was slowly taking control of you? If you think Joe's story is crazy, check my next video to see how far human can go because of something you might call insignificant. Subscribe and like. Let me know your opinion about Joe in the comments section.